Hello everyone, I'm Meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for your 11 a.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Now we've got news out of Greenville where a woman is now facing charges after she allegedly assaulted an officer yesterday. ECU Health police officers arrested 35-year-old Taisha Bullock yesterday. According to warrants, an officer had pulled Bullock over for a traffic stop. Now during the stop, Bullock refused to hand over her license and was placed under arrest after she tried to leave, according to warrants. Now, the record shows she also resisted arrest from another officer by refusing to get out of her car when told to and would not put her hands behind her back when she was being arrested. Now, while the officer was putting Bullock into the patrol car, warrants say she kicked the officer in the leg. She is also accused of threatening the officer, saying, quote, "I am going to kill you," end quote. Bullock was charged with assault on a government official or employee, communicating threats, resisting arrest, and fleeing or eluding arrest with a motor vehicle. She was taken to the Pitt County Jail without bond due to being out on bond for other charges. And now we want to turn our attention to Trump prescription drugs as the rollout is going to begin soon. NBC's Alice Barr has a closer look on the upcoming review.
Under pressure to address soaring healthcare costs, President Trump launching a new discount drug platform, TrumpRx.gov.
People are going to save a lot of money and be healthy.
The website, announced in the fall, is now live, offering coupons for discounted prices on so far 43 brand name medications if patients pay cash instead of using insurance, though the site notes to check insurance copays first, which may be lower. The platform's price cuts come through agreements the White House struck with at least 16 drug makers to avoid tariffs. They allow for most favored nation pricing compared to other wealthy countries.
We will pay equal to whatever the lowest price anywhere in the world.
Given that more than 80% of Americans have prescription drug insurance coverage, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, critics argue a cash approach may have limited impact. Democrats still pushing for extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies that expired at the start of the year, sending premiums soaring for millions, looking to make the case they're the ones
pushing to fix our broken healthcare system.
Healthcare costs are a central issue for Americans heading into this year's midterm elections that Democrats are working to draw attention back to amid a new funding fight over the Department of Homeland Security and immigration enforcement reforms.
They're defending using tax dollars to create chaos in our cities instead of using those dollars to reduce costs of health care.
A political lightning rod as Americans look for relief. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Well, thank you, Alice, for that report. We now turn to your weather forecast. Air temperatures today a little bit warmer than what we saw yesterday, and certainly warmer than where we're going to be as we head through the upcoming weekend. Saturday and Sunday looking cold. Saturday especially so, even though Sunday is actually going to have a colder air temperature. The winds on Saturday are going to be very strong, so it's going to create more of a biting breeze and a colder feels-like temperature over the start of the weekend. Second half of the weekend, winds die down a little bit more. Air temperatures still stay cold, but it's kind of a preview of what to expect again as we make our way through your Super Bowl weekend. Before we get there, though, we got to talk about what's outside right now. Most of us are looking at the mid to upper 30s. Some of us already into the low 40s. Jacksonville, Stumpy Point, looking at you guys. 41 degrees in Jacksonville, 42 in Stumpy Point. Rest of eastern North Carolina, generally between around the mid 30s, again to around the upper 30s, 35 to about 39 degrees. Now, winds are shifting as we speak, seeing more of a southwesterly breeze back towards I-95. Once you get to around Highway 17, you note those winds are starting to shift a little bit more westerly and then northwesterly once you get to really the Sounds. Not a strong breeze today. Winds are going to be picking up more so tomorrow, late tonight, possibly early tomorrow. But through the day tomorrow, those winds are going to accelerate. We're going to have two cold fronts roll through, one coming up later on this afternoon that will increase cloud cover across eastern North Carolina. If you're enjoying the sunshine right now, you got a few more hours left. I think by the time we get to around 2, 3, 4 p.m., the clouds are going to be building over the area, and then the rain showers will in as we head towards 5, 6, 7, and 8 p.m. later on tonight. Now, those raindrops will likely clear the coast by the time we get to around 9, 10 p.m. at night. That will leave us with air temperatures near freezing coming up for tomorrow morning. Lots of sunshine for your Saturday, but note those winds starting out at around 11 miles an hour at 7, getting up to near 20 miles an hour between 10, 11, and noon, even extending into the afternoon. Winds are going to be strong for your Saturday. Really want to highlight that. Lots of sunshine, cold air temperatures, and a biting breeze is basically what to expect over the first half of the weekend. Let's take a deeper dive into those winds. By 8 o'clock tonight, again, not really seeing anything impressive in terms of wind speeds. But as we head towards 6 a.m. on Saturday, hopefully everybody's still asleep, but it is really going to be blowing outside. Looking around 15 to 25 mile an hour sustained winds. These aren't your gusts. These are sustained winds. You can add about 10 miles an hour onto the numbers you're seeing to give you kind of an estimate, a rule of thumb for the gusts that we could be seeing by 6 a.m. But let's fast forward it a little bit further, get to noon, midday on Saturday, and now we're looking again at stronger winds across the east, still in that 15 to 25 mile an hour range for most of eastern North Carolina, but at this point the Outer Banks are really going to be picking up that breeze. 25, 35 miles an hour expected along our coast for sustained winds as we head from your Saturday afternoon to Saturday evening. Now, gusts, again, will be upwards around 35, 45 miles an hour at this point. Could end up seeing some coastal flooding along the sound side of the Outer Banks, particularly Ocracoke and Hatteras in down East Carteret County. So something to watch out for there if you are watching from the Outer Banks. Now, the winds will die down as we head into Sunday morning for inland areas, but those of you watching along the coast still going to wake up to a pretty substantial breeze. Now that breeze again calms down through the day on Sunday. You should end up with about a 15 to 20 mile an hour sustained breeze Sunday evening into Sunday night. Still blustery, but not nearly as strong as, again, what we're anticipating for your Saturday afternoon to Saturday evening. Now let's talk about the rain showers we're going to see coming up later on today. Cloud cover again starts to roll in between 2, 3, 4 p.m. And then by 5, raindrops start to roll into eastern North Carolina as well. Now some of us may see a rain-snow mixture, but if we see any snowflakes come down, understand they will not stick to the ground. Ground temperatures are going to be too warm. So really it's your air temperatures that are going to be, at least in the upper levels of the atmosphere, going to be sub-freezing. Down at ground level, though, we will be above freezing by this point. 7:30 p.m. In fact, overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, we're anticipating overnight lows dipping down to 32 degrees. So we're not actually going to get below freezing. We may get to freezing, but that's not going to happen until we get to Saturday morning. And even here, models again showing more of the mid-30s across the east. But there is still another chance of some snowflakes coming down Saturday morning, because not only do we have a cold front rolling through later on this evening, giving us those raindrops, we have a second front coming in Saturday morning. That cold air is going to get reinforced, really dropping those temps for the weekend. Highs on Saturday, mid to upper 30s. Right now, I think we've got around 37 degrees for your high on Saturday. The wind is going to make it feel even colder, but then we have got an extreme cold watch coming up across eastern North Carolina for Saturday night into Sunday morning, as air temperatures are expected to drop down into the teens again. It is going to be pretty cold out there as we wake up on Sunday. So keep that in mind if you're heading out and about on Sunday, maybe doing some Super Bowl prep work, if you will. Note you are going to want to have a jacket handy. Now here's kind of a breakdown, big picture look of exactly what's going to be happening. There's that low working its way across the east, giving us the rain today. Secondary cold front moves in Saturday morning, giving us again a reinforced batch of cold air. And then that high pressure system you're seeing down towards the Gulf is going to continue to keep that northwesterly flow present across eastern North Carolina, making sure our air temperatures certainly don't get all that warm over your Super Bowl weekend. We will get warm again once we get into next week. 47 degrees on Monday, turns to 60 degrees on Tuesday, 61 on Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday will be the first days of February where we can say we have above average air temperatures. Normal for this time of year is right around the mid to upper 50s. Seeing the low 60s is certainly encouraging. We haven't been above average since, I would say, January 22nd to January 23rd. It's been a long time since we've had any sort of true heat in eastern North Carolina. Obviously, here we are in the middle of winter, so this feels expected. At least we should expect this. But as we head through the next week, we are going to feel like spring is just around the corner. Well, that's all we have time for today's 11 a.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back with more news and weather coming up at noon. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your Friday.